Hello, it's Caroline, back for day 28 of What Have I Learned Today? So this is fascinating actually, just from what it means for our perception of evolution and the animal kingdom. Absolute can of worms, or when I started reading about it. So I found out about albatrosses. So they're a type of bird, seabird. They are rather large, one of the biggest flying birds, if not the biggest. I heard two different bits of information regarding that. Wingspan is 3.7 meters at its largest, so they're big. Also, it's a golfing term. I don't ask me what. Anyway, research was conducted on the population of the albatrosses in Hawaii, and 39 out of 125 nests were female to female relationships, meaning that two female albatrosses were rearing the chick. So this has been a source of interest for the researchers for the albatrosses, but also just across the animal kingdom. This isn't the only species that this occurs in, but it occurs a lot with albatrosses. I think it's the biggest now, without the risk of anthropomorphizing, because the researcher was careful not to, because saying that they're homosexual or gay is arguably anthropomorphizing, in that we're trying to make their relationships analogous to human relationships, and we don't fully understand it. So, for the want of a better term, it's the biggest known gay community of animals in the world. But there is apparently a bias towards presuming that couples in the wild with animals are always, again, anthropomorphizing. So homosexuality and heterosexuality and bisexuality, they're all human terms, completely appropriate to use it within humans, but animals are completely different. So using them for want of a better phrase, but the researchers prefer to just comment on their observations because they don't really know why they're doing it. And proponents of, evolution, they like it to be this kind of elegant, beautiful, there's always a reason for a behavior, there's always a survival reason for an animal's behavior. That's why it exists. But actually, the article said there's a lot of slop in the system. So behaviors that don't have an evolutionary advantage, or there's not known to be one anyway. So, and to hastily add, by saying there's a lot of slop in the system, it's not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's merely acknowledging that it's not as straightforward as one might think. There's not necessarily a specific reason. There may be, but it's not known. Yeah, it's really interesting. So they're studying these Japanese macaques, and the female macaque will mount a male macaque, but she'll also go and mount a female macaque. Maybe it's a bonding thing, or maybe they're thinking macaques can mount macaques, and females generally tend to mount them, and she just knows to mount another animal, but doesn't realize that there's not really an evolutionary advantage to doing it to another female. So she's just doing it. It's just a byproduct of a a behaviour she already has, is what they're proposing. This happens across the animal kingdom in like hundreds of species, like dolphins, male dolphins like penetrate each other's blowholes. Yeah, it's amazing. There was a lot to this. Um, it's argued that albatrosses are notoriously monogamous, so they tend to just have a partner for life. I know that penguins are known for that. But albatrosses live to like 60 or 70 years old, and they have couples going for like more than 20 years in this particular colony. And that was as far back as the data went, so it's arguably longer. Just found it very interesting, the kind of questions it brought up regarding evolution. And yeah, these also, like I was saying, there's the heterosexual bias. They were finding 2 eggs in one nest in these albatrosses' nests. They couldn't think of an explanation for about 100 years. They were saying because they knew that albatrosses could only lay 1 egg a year, so why were there 2 eggs in the nest? They never came to the conclusion there's 2 females. And with albatrosses, females and males look exactly the same, so you have to genetically test. So they did that, and that's how they found out. So it's likely, they're suggesting it's likely that there are way more female to female, male to male couples that occur in animals in the wild. It's just there's a bias of presumption that it's always male to female. So often you like look at the behaviour, like if the animal is doing the mounting, it must be the male. Not necessarily true. Female koalas mount other female koalas. So it's all going off, man. I'm doing a long Wednesday. I'm so sorry. On it, like the article I read was so long, but really interesting. Loved it. I think that the homosexual community were claiming it as like, I don't know, some sort of ammo for their well, I don't know, cause. I think the researchers were just saying it just is. It's not a, it's just occurring. It's a natural thing. So yeah, whatever you want to do with that information, it is what it is. Yeah. So, but the couples were doing co-parenting. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't even say that. Because someone's got to watch the egg while the other one's off fishing for weeks, So yeah, I will be back tomorrow for day 29 of What I've Learned Today. Sorry, I haven't put out one since like last Thursday. I hope you have a great week. Don't panic. And just be careful, okay? Bye.